So for those who weren't here, we're gonna do a small script that that Billy here created. Well, it's a script that's gonna take a CSV file as an input, which has a couple of fields like email, first name, last name, and so forth. So basically, like there's gonna be a couple of fields here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna extract the email, and then we're gonna split it up and just take this part, which is just the domain name, and then we're gonna test if this domain name is Shopify or not, or maybe even Magento. We'll see. We'll see how much time we have to do, but I think we'll try to just test Shopify. So basically, we'll reuse the code that we did last time during the retreat, the code that actually tested the if a site is a Shopify store or not. And then when we have the result, we're going to write another CSV file which contains the result of our query. So like, is Shopify true or not? Eating some pizza. For those who are wondering. All right, so I'm gonna just take this. I'm gonna download it. Magic emails. All right. I'm gonna close the other projects. So I have PyCharm, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. So just like if you, basically what you need, I'm just gonna create a new file. Let's say this file is gonna be named Enrich emails.py, right? So I'm gonna, do you guys see, by the way? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Enrich emails.py, and then I'm gonna also I'm going to also take that that file that I downloaded just now. So it's the magic emails. I'm going to put it in the same directory as this one, right? So I'm just going to put it here. So basically, like the idea here is like I have the input file right next to the script. So that way I don't need to like use paths and whatever, like do the correct path. So I'm just going to use the local directory, right? So just to make things simpler. So let me know when you guys have it. I mean, Billy, you're using Atom, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm using Atom. I have my I have the script from the retreat.
Yeah, excellent. You're gonna need that. So basically, yeah, you can put you can create another script which is gonna be Enrich emails, just so we can start from scratch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's okay to repeat it once again because it's going to be it's good practice.
Oh, you guys got pizza. Okay.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna install my dependencies because I don't have. So. Add it here. I'm gonna install requests because that's what I need to do. Requests, do HTTP requests. I'm gonna install the package. I'm installing the package. Excellent. I have it.
So you just installed the import request?
Yeah. So I'm just doing import requests. I'm importing the, and I'm gonna try to run this file just to see if it works. Seems it worked. Okay, that's good. Can you do the same just to make sure that like import request works? Basically, just run it. I'm using PyCharm, but I mean you can use it from the command line. Mm-hmm. So kind of like go in the path that you have it. Yeah, this is fine.
Could you check that Python that request is working?
Yeah, how did I make it work?
How do you check that it works?
No, you just run the file and it didn't return an error. So just imported something. If I didn't have this package, it would have said something like import error. So like, let's try another one.
Okay.
Import XML, for example. And if I run it again, it's gonna give me no module named XML. So it's gonna give me an error.
Okay. Understand.
So, do you guys have it? All good?
I have it, yeah.
Excellent.
To run it on the terminal, you have to find it, and then you have to.
Yeah, you have to find the script where it is, and
then you do Python space,
Good.
whatever the name of the script is. I just have this one up. I didn't start a new one.
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put the magic emails file next to it, so it makes.
Oh yeah, in here.
Just copy there. Yeah.
In the
Oh,
same-
okay. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. The same for you.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. Perfect. We have it. So what are we gonna do first? So a CSV is a file, just like any file, right? It's a text file. And what we could do, let's go on it. We could just open this file and read line by line, each line, and then split by comma, so that we have like the correct thing. However, Python already has a really awesome library directly in. You don't need to install anything. It's called CSV. So, and what it does, it allows us to parse this file and load it into Python without kind of doing anything like manually, right? So it kind of does the parsing for us. Like it splits up the file by comma, right? So, so for example, here, like you see, you have the first row is email, and then you have comma, and then you have first name, right? And then there's a space, and then another one. So this is first row. I'm sorry. And then you have the data basically, right? So like these are the column names, and this is the actual data. And then you also split by column. So instead of us like doing it manually, like where we kind of like go on the first line, take the first line, and then say, okay, the first line is the header, and then the second line is the data, and then the third one, and so forth. So instead of doing all this logic, which is like quite complex, instead of that, we're going to use this CSV package, and it works the same way. So just import CSV. Very easy, same idea. And then, because we don't remember the actual how to use it, we're just searching on Google, and we do search Python CSV. And the first result you're gonna see, actually you also have a couple of videos, maybe they explain a little bit better, but like you go on the Python documentation, and then they have an example. They say, okay, import CSV, and then with open, so you open the file, eggs.csv, like they have this file name, and then you have a CSV reader that reads from that file, and you can define your own delimiter. You can do quote character, because like sometimes you need to do, like for example, if you have a comma in the data, you need somehow escape it, right? Because otherwise it's going to be like, it's going to think it's like another row, right? So another column, sorry. And then you can iterate each row from the CSV reader. So you can iterate through each row. And this is great if you don't have any sort of like headers, but we have headers. So what we can do is actually use another reader, which is called a dict reader. And it's actually pretty awesome because it's going to allow us to do a more interesting thing. So it takes a dict reader instead of a simple reader, actually takes into account the first row. The first row, it says, oh, the first row is actually the name of the column, so I'm going to put that as a key for my dictionary. So actually what I want to say here is that every column here, you could say like this is email, right? This is email as well, right? And this is the key, so this is a key. This is the value. This is the first name. Right? Again, this is a key, and this is this only thing is a value. and then and so on. So and then you have basically like a bunch of rows with keys and values, right? So you have one item 1, 2. So it's a list, right? You have a list of keys and values. So a list of keys and values. And in Python, a key value thing is called a dictionary. So basically, like you have lists, which is just like a bunch of objects in a list. So you have like a bunch of strings, and you also have a dictionary, which is basically like a key value pair, right? The difference is that like dictionaries can only have, like, you cannot have two keys with the same name. Like it can only have, like, you have unique keys. So I'm gonna just Control Z here so I don't mess this up. So basically what I'm saying is like eggs, or like, let's say, I don't know, colors, right? And then I have red. So when I put this like square brackets, that's a list. Red, blue, green. This is a list. There's no keys here. It's just list. And then we have cars, and you have a dictionary. And this is with a what's the name? Yeah, what's the name? This curly braces. Curly braces. Yeah. Curly brackets. So, and then inside you can define, like, say for example, like a model, and then you have model X and manufacturer. So another key, manufacturer Tesla, right? So like this is not actually good, because like this is actually a single dictionary, so just one. But we can have a list. We can use the same idea. We can combine with two ideas and have a list of cars, right? And every car in this list has a model and a manufacturer. So we can do another one. We can do another dictionary. And again, model, Y.
And is the key, the unique key, is that always the column?
Yeah, so in our case, the CSV is going to be like, the key is going to be email, first name, and last name, right? So this is going to, the key is going to repeat itself for every row, but the value, and the reason we do this is because it's going to be easier to operate with keys and values, right? Because we were only interested in the email, correct? Only in the email. We don't need the first name and last name. We're not going to use that. So so how do we do that? So as you saw in this example, like it has with open and names and blah blah blah, and then dict reader. So we're just gonna copy paste this because you're lazy. And yeah, so you just go on Python CSV first link, and then search for dict reader, and then you'll find the first example. So and then you just copy the stuff with. So that's basically what programmers do. They just go on Google, search stuff, and just copy paste things. That's all. So I'm just copying this, and I'm removing the free dots here because we don't need this. And then, right. So tell me when you pasted this, and then we'll start modifying. So it should look like whatever. Like you don't need this like colors, cars. This is just an example. Like, don't need that. Mm-hmm.
So I have all my other code underneath it. Is that fine?
It's okay. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Open.
You can comment it out if you don't want to execute it. You can just comment it out with a hash.
Oh, just at the front.
Yeah.
Of the line.
Yeah, or just like put a block of 3 double quotes. And then at the end, another 3 double quotes. And then it's going to comment the entire block. So you don't have to.
Just 3 on the top.
Yeah, so either hash comment, single line.
On Adam, it like made it all green.
Excellent, yeah. So if you see it green, like if you have an editor that understands Python, like it's going to show you the correct thing. You have it?
Yeah.
All good? All right, perfect. So
this line is just saying to open the CSV.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to replace it with our name, right?
So ours is first name, last name, but we just need email, right?
Yeah. So first we need the file name, right? So I'm just gonna copy paste the file name.
Name.csv. Ours is just magic.
Yeah, magic emails.csv.
Magic.
The new line thing, we don't need it.
Do you know what that does?
I don't think we need
We
it.
don't need it.
I don't think we know.
Magic.
I don't really know what it does. I'll have to look at the documentation of
Reader
open.
equals, we want the reader the same for row and reader.
Yeah, that's
Print
fine.
row. And for print row,
Instead of first name, we'll have just like uppercase email. Whatever is like the first row, like
That's the
email.
only one we
Yeah,
want.
yeah, that's the only one we want. So we're just gonna print the email.
print email. So we can delete the other one,
Yeah.
the comma row last
Yeah.
name.
So you are gonna have only this.
Yeah.
And then when you run it, you should have only the emails. So what we're doing here is like let's explain then like each row so it's clear. So did you have this output? Like all of this output here?
What's the script doc? Well, I think after you go CD, I don't remember all the terminology for the desktop. CD, desktop, and then what's the next?
Whatever is
I need to
the
find the
path. Oh, you need to find the folder.
So you do.
So where is normally what you have is like maybe in the editor you can just say copy full path, and then CD and then paste full path, and you're there. Less allows you to see what's your content. So now you do Python script.py.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Yeah, so that's the script that you had. So it's not the same, it seems. Did you save this file?
Oh no, I didn't save it.
Yeah, just save it. Yeah, and then run it. So up. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so there's like some indentation issue. So yeah, you need 4 spaces basically. Like
Where at? Right here?
Yeah, so reader after reader. Yeah, so reader, and then when you it's basically Python is a white space. It's a white space sensitive programming language, meaning that the spaces actually mean stuff.
Okay.
So like you need consistent spacing. So like usually the standard is 4 spaces.
So this is still the same thing. Line 6,
Yeah.
4 row and reader.
Did you save the file?
Oh, maybe I didn't save it.
I don't know if it does. Because now you have a for loop. So it's the same idea. You need to do because like this print is inside the for loop. See what I mean?
Okay.
So otherwise, like it doesn't know. So it says that you don't have magic emails. Ah, okay. Maybe the file name is not correct. So it's
Oh,
actually
it's a
it's a space and it's uppercase.
Oh, it's case sensitive too?
I believe so. Let's see. Okay, so you have the output. Do you have the output, Julia?
Yeah.
So all I'm doing here is reading just the emails.
Yeah, so let's look at each line and understand what it means. So the open thing here, like the open, actually what it does is like it opens a file and it as a what is called a file descriptor. A file descriptor is like a special type of object in Python. And basically what you do is like you do operations with file descriptor. And then you can, for example, read the file, you can write the file, you can do different operations, right? And it has like kind of like an API, so to speak. So the with statement here, the with one, basically what it does is just says like in this block, inside the with block, so like a block basically is just like this section here, beneath the with, right? Like if it's indented, it's a block, right? Like it's inside it. So inside this block, do some stuff with CSV file. But afterwards, after you've done all the work, make sure the file is closed, meaning that we are not doing any sort of operation with it anymore. So basically, you're telling the operating system, look, during the period that I'm executing the code here, during this period, I'm gonna do operations with the file. But then afterwards, I'm not doing anything with it, so you can close it, right? So that's why you need this with. It just says open the file, but then close it at the end. So instead of doing like something like, you could actually do the same code and say CSV file. So instead of, let's say, like f equals open something, right? F dot read lines, so read all the lines in the file, and then f dot close, right? This is basically equivalent of this. However, the difference, because you're using with, this close thing is called automatically. So if you forget for some reasons, and people forget sometimes close files, instead of this you just use with, and it does it for you. It cleans up basically stuff, cleans up the memory, does all of the things. So like that's a nice kind of feature of Python, actually it's called a context manager, this with thing, but it's something else. It's like
what if you keep on writing under the print email?
Yeah.
Is it still closed?
So after like all of the rows are exhausted, like it goes out of the for loop, and then it closes the file, and then the program exits, right? So like at the end it's just like, okay, I'm done, so I don't need this anymore. But basically so if I had like, let's say a print here, 1, 2, 3, the file would be already closed at this point. Like before the print 1 to 3, it would be already closed, right? So if I'm doing like, maybe I have like a lot more code here, a lot more code, and then maybe I'm doing some other work with this file again. So if it was open before, I'm trying to open it again, maybe there's going to be some bugs, right? So this is kind of allows you to have a kind of a clean way to operate with files. What did I do here? Yeah. So, right. So, okay, let's go on next. So it's like we have this CSV file, which is like it's called a file descriptor. That doesn't matter. It's just kind of like it points to a file. It just says like, look, you can use this object, you can use this variable, which is a CSV file, to do operations on the file. And then we have a CSV dict reader, which reads a CSV in a dictionary format. And it takes the file descriptor and it puts into a reader object. And then a reader object is just like you can iterate through it, and it's like a list. So for example, let's do another thing. I'm gonna comment this out for now, just to see kind of a similar example. Let's do it again. I'm gonna uncomment this. So I'm gonna do a similar thing, manufacturer Tesla as well. Let's say Tesla as well. I'm gonna say for car in cars, right? Print car. So I'm printing all the cars, one by one, right? Let's execute again. So as you can see, it does like one model X, model Y, and now I want only the model. So I'm using the same key as here. Oops. Again, X and Y, right? So same idea. The reader here is basically the cars here, like the equivalent. So it's a list. It's a list. And then the dict reader basically arranged all of these things to make from a list of things into a list of dictionaries, right? A list of strings into a list of dictionaries. It's kind of like a convenience type thing. So I'm gonna just revert all of this stuff and let's get back to our code. So once again, we have the emails. Amazing. Now we want to get only the domains, right? So let's do that. So we have the email, and I'm removing the print, and I'm just gonna assign a variable. It's gonna be called email. So I'm just gonna take the row. So I don't do stuff with row. I'm just gonna, because I'm lazy, so I just want to work with email. So then I want to split it up into a couple of pieces. So I have the name, and then I have the domain which I'm interested in, right? So I have, and then I can do email.split, and I'm splitting it by @.
Yeah. So you can do that in like Google Sheets. They have like a function.
Yeah, to do the splitting, exactly. So I'm gonna print the name, and then I'm gonna print the domain, right? And then I'm running it again just to see like.
Name.
and then domain. Yeah, so you can see here like the name, this is the first part, and the second part is going to be the domain. And then I'm going to only be interested in the domain. Okay, let's run it again. I only have domains now. Okay, so like I mean, you can not use the email. You can just say like row, and then instead of declaring this extra variable, I could do this. Like I could do row, and then email. So I don't really need that one. I'm gonna keep it like this. It's just shorter. So I just have now the domain. So I have row, right? So we used to print the row, print row email, and now we're just gonna split it up and just put it into two sections. It's gonna be into two sections. One is gonna be the name, and the other one is gonna be the domain, right? So like, and then I put a comma because like Python is cool because it allows you to split up into two different variables and assign them at the same time. So you have the name first, comma, domain equals row of email, and then you do the dot split, and by whatever you want to split, right? So like in our case, it's going to be @. So
so when you use name, comma domain, is that what you're just
basically
you're calling those? Those are the new two columns.
Yeah. So I think it's better to illustrate it a little bit differently. Let's do another.
I get that though. Yeah, name domain equals.
Let's do like A and B, and do a split by this, and then print this. Let's print this and see what it does. Aha! So what this split thing does when I'm splitting like this, it returns a list, and this list has two items, right? So basically I'm mapping, like I'm saying like, look, the first item is name, the second item is domain, and when you split these two, put the value of the name into the name and put the value of the domain in the domain. So the first value goes into the name and the second value goes into the domain. It's kind of a convenience way to do it.
And you always have to do print afterwards, right?
No, I mean just I just want to see what I'm doing, right? Yeah. Print is just to debug, basically, to understand like what the code does.
But now like I've written my code. If I want to see what it does, I have to print it.
Yeah, because otherwise you don't know what it did.
And if we have more than one...
yeah, it's gonna give an error. So like let's say I have C here. It's gonna give us 3 values. Actually, wait.
So what if I wanted to like you're
I have 1 comma.
What if you wanted to print more than just domain? You wanted to print domain and name and domain.
Sure, you can do that. You can do name, comma, domain.
Oh, you just do comma.
Yep. And then you execute.
I got an invalid syntax. Where am I at here?
Julian, you're figuring it out. Does it work for you?
Yeah.
I'll let you figure it out on your own. So like before it was print row.
I have an extra comma, or not a comma. I have an extra bracket here, I think. Yeah, there. So now I'm just getting the domains, which is what we want.
Yeah, excellent. So basically we're ignoring the name. We don't need the name, right? We just need the domain. But you can see here that we have 4 domains which are the same. Well, they're actually more.
That's because there's like
duplicates.
There's multiple
people with the same domain.
Company.
But we were only interested in a single domain, right?
Yeah.
So what should we do?
We need to remove the duplicates. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll have what it's called a set. So we'll have a domains set, right? Basically, what this set does, it's like a list, but can only contain unique values. So if I'm adding to this list, it's gonna if the item is already in that list, it's just gonna ignore it, right? So that's what we want to do.
So these languages like domain equals set, sorry. Is this like specific to Python
Yeah.
or sets?
Yes. It's a set. It's like a list, but it's just has unique values.
But in
That's it.
another language, it could be called something else.
Yeah, it could be called something else. Yeah, it could be, but usually it's set because like it's a math thing. You remember from math,
Yeah.
you have sets. Sets have unique values.
Yeah, I did a bunch of math.
So it's the same concept. So you have domains, and then you have add, and then you add the element inside. In our case, it's going to be a domain. So this way, I'm populating the domains. And
why'd you put the domain equals sets at the top?
yeah, because I'm initializing. I'm telling Python, look, domains is actually a set. So if I'm adding, because if I'm doing just domains.add, Python's going to say, wait, what is domains? I don't know domains. What is it? I need to declare it first. So I'm declaring it. I'm saying like, look, domains is a set, and now it's an empty set. Sorry. So I'm declaring it, and I'm also like initializing it as empty, because I could have done something like this. I could have done like 1, 2, 3, right? So like I'm initializing the set directly with a couple of values, but for me it's just going to be an empty set. It's an empty set of values, and then I'm adding every domain one by one into this domain set, and then I can print these domains here afterwards, right? Let's run it. Awesome. So now we have a list of domains, right? We have a list of domains. We have Gmail, probably a lot of those, right? Yeah. So we have a list of domains. Yeah, but like, I mean, this is good, but like, well, we'll do this later. So I have a list of domains. We can iterate from these domains. We can say for domain in domains, like this is like, okay, so now we have a list of domains. We don't care about like the other CSV file, like we're outside of it. We got what we needed, right? We got our domains, and now I can do a for loop. I can print this domain, right?
Well, I think I'm still getting duplicates here.
You sure?
Unless I do the same.
Maybe it's like if it's upper lowercase.
Does there need to be a space where domains equals set is before the
Yeah.
the loop?
No, not necessarily. Wait, 1 second. Let me try again. Did you save the file? Yeah. Yeah, because you're still printing the domain, right? So like you're still in this loop. So you're still in the you have to go outside of it. Because like you see, you're still in the loop where you're reading the CSV. So you're populating your list, your set. You're populating your set, but then you're printing the domain directly. So it's like, yeah, you're populating the set, but you're not using the domain set at all here. So what you would do is you can do for domain in domains, right? So now you're iterating into inside the domains set, right? And now you should have a unique list.
Yeah, no, I don't have that.
Yeah, because like before you were just like basically it's the same print, right? You didn't exit. All right. So what do we do? What we want to do now, like, is like do the request magic, right? So it's like.
And I just have a quick question about
Mhm.
Atom, if you know.
Yeah.
Is there a way to run this in Atom without having to use the terminal?
I don't know.
Because you're in PyCharm, you're at the.
Yeah, I can do it directly here, but I mean, I could have done it in terminal as well.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It's the
But from
same.
a workflow perspective, like what do you guys all use?
I'm not using.
When you work on
I'm never using the terminal from PyCharm.
No.
I'm always using because this one is bigger, like the one I have.
Yeah.
Like this one is just
When you
bigger.
guys are all writing in like for Gorgeous though.
But some people, I mean, I think people from machine learning, they use this terminal quite a lot. I don't really use it. I think some people use it, some people don't. I mean, it's just a matter of preference. I guess, I mean, the good thing about it is that you have everything in one application. You can do all your work here, so I guess it's pretty cool. But for me, I'm just like old school. I want the terminal, you know. All right, so yeah, we have a domain. And let's say like now we're fetching this domain, just like processing and then we have the domain. So we're basically processing all of this domain. So we have some sort of status kind of, right? So what we want to do is we want to do requests, right? And .get. Remember that? Request.get? Yeah. So yeah, we'll have like we'll have an HTTP. Well, let's do HTTPS. Let's see what's going on. And then I'm adding the domain. So what I'm doing here is like because I cannot just fetch domain without the HTTP or HTTPS. I need to specify what it is, right? So I'm concatenating these two strings. So one of them is HTTPS /dot// and the other one is the domain. So I can do the same here. So like processing, and then I have HTTPS // plus domain. I'm gonna comment this for now. So yeah, as you can see here, it's gonna give us so what I'm doing here is like I'm doing a print processing, and then I have HTTPS plus domain, right? I'm concatenating the two.
Why do you have to add the HTTPS?
Because otherwise request doesn't know what to use. Maybe it's FTP, maybe it's like email, maybe it's like whatever. I mean, like it doesn't know, so we need to specify it for it. So I'm doing like response equals request.get because I want the response. I want to know what's the response, right? And then I'm doing like print response, right? And then I'm just gonna break afterwards because I don't want to execute on like I don't know how many domains we have here, but we have a lot, right? So we don't want to wait our script to run too long. So you can use what is called the break statement, which breaks the loop. So it's gonna just take the first item, which in our case is gonna be echo, right? It's gonna take the first item, it's gonna do something with it, and then afterwards it's gonna break. It's just gonna stop. So it's not gonna take into account the vision array USA. So it's not gonna do any processing here. So you can actually test this you can comment this out, and you're only gonna see echo.com. Well, I mean it's another one because the order is not guaranteed in sets. So a set does not guarantee the order. It just can be in any order whatsoever. So we don't really know. So let's do the processing of a single domain and see what it responds. So interesting, we got 200. So we are processing, we said like processing HTTPS remix vintageshoes.com blah blah, and then we have a 200 response. Good. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Excellent. What about you, Billy?
I have a syntax on mine. Response equals request dot.
Response equal requests dot get, and then you have a string, and then you have a plus, and then
the
domain.
string is
just single quotes or double quotes is fine.
I have single.
Yeah, that's fine. But actually, you have an extra. Yeah.
Oh, I don't need.
Yeah, I don't need because you're concatenating the two. Yeah, concatenating both. Yeah. So let's try it now. Nice. So you got the 200 response, which is okay. So you got the dark off. So now we want to see inside the website, inside the response, if it actually contains Shopify or not. So same idea as before. We have.
Now we can do the response.
Yeah, we can do an if, right? Like you can say if response dot content. Well, actually, I think it's Shopify in response.content print.
Do you want to do the cdn.shopify.com?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, let's do that. cdn.shopify.com, and then we have it, and then we have the Shopify. Is Shopify.
And the break. That's just what's the break do again? When you put break on the last, that just stops.
I'm transforming this content from bytes to strings, so it doesn't. Yeah, the break is just like stopping the iteration. So it just like it only processes one domain. I don't want to process, because when I'm testing, I don't want to execute my script and then wait for 2 years until it's done. So I'm just like to make it faster, I'm just like breaking after the first iteration, right? So I'm just breaking after the first one. So if I remove this, it's gonna start working a lot. Processing, like it's gonna take.
Okay, it's going on.
Yeah. So now it's gonna do. Yeah, it's doing the queries and everything, right? So yeah, let's. Okay, so yeah, I have this Nelly May. Let's put yeah, so Gmail actually is not gonna work, right? So it's like we have gmail.com, right? So we have an example which is not gonna work. Gmail.com is not gonna work because it's not Shopify. So so now we have a script which iterates through the domains.
I had an error with first Shopify Python code we made last week. I added to add this part.
Yeah, you can decode it, but you can also do something like str of content. So just put the content inside str.
Okay.
Str and then.
And I turn it.
Yeah, I don't need necessarily.
Okay.
So we need to close it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Try again. Okay. Have you got it?
I didn't save the file.
The file, fine.
Thank you.
Did you got it? Did you get it?
I got it. Yeah. My So do you know what? So like mine, the first email that came up for me, or like the first to Shopify was darnto.com, where yours was like whatever that.
I mean, it doesn't matter because the order is not ensured. Like you cannot guarantee the order, and because there are some performance improvements if you don't have that. So anyway. So yeah, so we can like based on the emails we got from the CSV file, we guaranteed the unicity of domains using a set, and then we fetched from the internet for each domain, and we saw if it's Shopify or not. The problem here is that now we wanna write back to the same file, right? So like we want to create maybe a different file and save the results there. However, the problem is what? The problem is that we are outside already of this for loop, right? So basically we just like, instead of having like let's say, I don't know, like 300 rows, we only have like 80 now because we eliminated all the duplicates, right? Mm-hmm. So now somehow we need to correlate back together, like to say, okay, because we don't want to do like 300 requests and maybe 20 of them is going to be for the same domain, right? So it's just like to make it faster, we want to just take the domains, have a list of domains, and then get that the result, if it's Shopify or not. So instead of doing this, we're going to declare a function. And basically like our function is going to take as a parameter a single domain, and it's going to tell us if that domain contains, it's a Shopify store or not. So that's it. That's everything that's going to be, that function is going to be doing. So we're going to declare, it's not JavaScript. So is Shopify, right? That's the name of our function. And then I have as an entry a
What's
domain.
Def mean?
Def, it means a definition of a function. So it's so it's def, and then is Shopify, is underscore Shopify, and then I have a parameter which is a domain. So that's how I'm declaring a new function. And then I can, inside it, I can print domain just to see that it works. So that's cool. But I want to know about it here. So I want to do like print. Well, actually, I want to say print. Well, no. Is Shopify domain? So inside this iteration, because I want to stay in the same, because I want to populate afterwards the same rows, right? Like I don't want to, even if it's duplicates. So like I'm just testing this. For now, I'm just removing this part. I'm just like, well, not removing, but commenting it out. Oh, sorry. Alright, shit, I have so annoying when I have caps lock. So what is this thing? Yeah, so just gonna comment this thing out. And
you commented the domains.add domains.
Yeah, so I'm just like kind of ignoring all of that part, because like now I'm gonna, inside this function, I'm gonna do all of it. I'm gonna do all of the thing, the checking, the adding to the so like the goal here is kind of like for every email I'm checking the domain, and then I have some sort of like kind of like a cache of all checked domains. So if I'm going on the same domain, twice, if I already fetched it and checked if it had something, I'm not gonna do the same operation twice. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, no worries, I checked it, so it's this. I don't need to check it again. So that's what it's gonna do here. So I declared this function. Which is Shopify. I take the domain and I print the domain, and then I call it here just to see that it works, right? So let's run it, and it works, right? So we have basically the exact same thing. I just copied the print domain from here, from here. I just copied it from here to here, right? So that's it. So just like, okay, I'm moving it there. The reason I'm doing this function is because like it's a little bit easier to read the code, and it's like it's just kind of like I don't really need to do a function, because you can just do it like directly in the code. But I think it's better because like you can say this. The only thing this function does is checking if it's Shopify or not, and the users of this function, they don't need to care how it's doing it. Like they don't really need to know. So it's just like doing that. All right. So I have this. So I don't need to. I'm first going to check. So I have a domains there. You see. So I have a domains. This domain is actually not declared. I'm gonna say global domains. The reason I need to do it is because otherwise this function here is not gonna see this one, right? It's not gonna see this. But you don't really need that for other functions. It's just like in this case. Anyway, so like ignore the global because it's too complicated to explain.
Well, we need to write it.
Yeah, I need to write it. So like so you have domain. So I'm checking if domain in domains but it's so I have the domains as a set, but actually I think I need it as a dictionary instead. So I'm declaring it as a dict. I'm saying like, okay, domain is a dictionary, and the reason I'm doing it is because I want to know if it's Shopify or not, because when I'm checking it I want to know if it's a Shopify or not. So I want to have a key value, and the key, because it's unique, remember the dictionary has the keys are unique in a dictionary, so you cannot have 2 times the same name. So we're going to use the domain names as the keys to ensure unicity. So basically it's kind of like the keys in a dictionary is a set, okay, meaning that it's unique, right? Like the keys in a dictionary is kind of like a set, right? So instead of doing that, but the reason we're using it as we're using this dictionary is because we want to save the result. Is Shopify or not Shopify? So it's going to be, the key is going to be the domain, and the value is going to be true or false, meaning Shopify or not Shopify, right? So it's kind of like hacking a little bit the thing. So like I have a domain, and I say if domain in domains, return domains of domain, right? So I'm returning directly the result. Basically like, okay, if I already have it inside the domains, I don't need to fetch it anymore. I don't need to do anything. But if I don't have it, I'm gonna copy this part. So I need to do now I need to do the request stuff. So basically this is to avoid doing the same request twice for the same domain, correct? Like that's the goal here. So like I don't here, like I'm checking first, like do I have it in my list of domains? If I have it, then return the value, Shopify is true or Shopify is false. If I don't have it, then I'm doing a request, right, to that domain, and I have if cdn shopify.com in the string content, and then I'm saving the result. I'm saving the result to true. Else domains of domain equals false, right? I know there's like a little bit more complicated this time, but let's take it back. So like ignore these domains here. So I have a domains which is a dictionary. A dictionary is basically the same thing as here, right? So I'm actually going to use the same syntax. So dictionary is like one of these, right? It's just empty, doesn't have anything. So it's kind of the same. It's an empty dictionary, right? The key for this dictionary, so this is a key, this is another key, but these two keys are unique for this dictionary, right? For a single dictionary. You cannot have like another one which is model as well. Like that's not possible. That's going to give an error. Like I cannot have that. So I can use, because of this, I can use the trick. Because of unicity of the keys in a dictionary, I can use it as a set. I can use the same idea, right, from the set. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Did you guys understand?
I understand, but I missed. Oh, you changed.
So domains is no longer a set. Domain is So now domains is a dictionary, and the reason I need it is because I want the value. I want to use the value, and the value is going to be either true or false, based on like, is it a Shopify store or is it not a Shopify store?
Dictionary is those curly braces. Where you said domains equals.
Yeah. So domains. Yeah. So I have. So basically here, like I'm doing, like ignore this part here for now. I'm doing the same thing we did before. So like response equals request.get. I'm getting the domain. I'm checking if the CDN is inside the response content, and then if it is, I'm saving. So the key is going to be the domain. I'm saving the domain, and I'm saying it's true. This domain is true, meaning it has Shopify. And if it's not, then I'm saving it as false. And then next time this function is called, it's going to go here in if, and it's going to say, wait, do you have already domains? If it says like, yeah, I have it, fine. Give me the result of this directly without doing the get, right? And this return basically like it stops the function. When you see the return inside the function, it just like stops it completely. Like it just like returns here, and this code is never executed again.
That's why we don't need any else.
Huh?
It's why we don't need any else.
Yeah, you don't need an else here. Yeah, because it just returns.
There is a return.
Yeah, I mean you could put an else, but it's useless because like it's gonna be the same. So you can put an else, and then you can indent this part, but you don't need it because it's gonna be executed anyway if it doesn't enter that if.
Okay.
Another thing is that like we still need to return at the end, because we still need to return true or false in the case we're doing it the first time. So when we do it the first time, so domains of domain. So we still need to return the value after we set it. So next time this function is executed, if the domain is already in the list, it's going to just give us the value. If the domain is already in the dictionary, it's going to give us the value. If it's not in the dictionary, it's going to fetch it, it's going to save the result, and then it's going to exit, right? Pretty much this. So now Shopify, let's say here Shopify is Shopify. So like we have a variable, and then we'll say print domain and Shopify, and see which one have Shopify and which one don't. Yeah, so some of them have invalid certificates. Okay, so to ignore these certificates, and which we'll of course do. I think
What does that mean? Like they couldn't?
Yeah, they have like because request actually checks if you have a valid HTTPS certificate, and if you don't want to check it, and we don't because like it's just I mean basically it says like this thing lucyparis.com has an invalid SSL certificate, and it means that the the SSL thing when you go on the website and it has like red beware is like invalid blah blah.
Okay.
That's what it means. So and request also like cares about this and breaks by default, like it stops by default. So like what we're gonna do is we're gonna ignore the certificate, and to do that we're gonna search on Google and say requests ignore SSL. How to disable verify equals false. Okay, well, not verifying. Verify equals false. Great. Now when I run it, just give me a bunch of warnings. Whatever, it's fine. Just like you see, a couple of them are like returning a warning. Now, how do I disable warnings as well? It's kind of annoying. Yeah, it's just okay. Whatever. Yeah, we'll don't care about warnings. So like as you can see here, like you have like Frankie bikinis, true. Like it did all of them. We have a false. We have a false, maybe. Yeah, so Lucy Pair is actually false.
It's not Shopify. It could be Magento.
I don't know. Let's check it out. See, make sure that script is working. Let's see. View page source. Interesting. That's weird. Why didn't it work? Interesting. Why it didn't work?
Maybe it didn't go to the website.
I think it
A
did.
different website or something.
I don't know. Let's see. This seems like Shopify. Yeah, it does also does Shopify.
So this is essentially what we're doing in HubSpot when we upload a list.
Kind of. Yeah.
Except HubSpot, we're using like Built with or Data Knives or whatever.
Yeah.
Data.
Something similar. I don't really know why this thing. So if CDN true, otherwise false. That's kind of weird. I don't know why it does this. Maybe let's do a URL directly. What's the name of this? Lucy Paris. So sometimes it's nice to use something like.
So what is this? You're using the terminal?
Yeah, it's basically like a program which is called basically URL. It's kind of like requests, but in the terminal. Same idea. So when I'm using grep, Shopify. Yeah, it does have Shopify, so I don't really understand why it. Because maybe redirect. Maybe it's redirected. Requests follow redirects because it does redirect, I think.
You think lucyparis.com is redirecting somewhere else?
Yeah, I think so, and because like in the first redirect it does not have Shopify in the first redirect. So I'm just gonna allow redirects to make sure that when it goes to like www something, because like sometimes you go on the first page and then redirects you to the second page. So in that case, yeah, Lucy Paris is still false. That's weird. Why is it false? Okay, so we wanna see why is it false. So we wait to. I'm doing it like if it's false, let's stop the program. Like, so I'm putting like a breakpoint here, and then there's like a small bug. You see that bug there? Like a bug. It's called debugging. You click on it, and it's gonna stop the program here. So it seems like it's a 403. It returns like a 403 response. Okay.
Not going to the right website.
Yeah, so actually we should probably check for codes, right? So we need to do like response, status. Actually, there's a nicer way. So just like if response okay, if response not okay, then just return false, I guess. So for example, if it returns an invalid response, for some reason it returns 403.
403 is like.
Yeah, it's like an error message. So it's probably because of Cloudflare, because it thinks we're a robot.
Yeah.
So okay, I think you're smart, huh? So what we do in order to avoid that?
Yeah, like a delay in between each one.
Nah, we can do something else. We can change the what's called a user agent. Chrome user agent. I hope it's gonna work. Let's see. Get latest. So you get the user agent string, and we have headers and user agent. Put this stuff in there, so it thinks it's a Chrome browser, you know. we try to trick it, see if it works. You stop the script, and then run it again.
Didn't stop.
Okay. Eventually, did it stop here or no? I don't really know. Let's run it without. Yeah. So there's a false. Yeah. Yeah. Still false. Okay. Python requests Cloudflare. Cloudflare scrape. Okay, so there's like a special. Okay, so fuck Cloudflare, we're assholes.
So do people have to pay like a security program to put Cloudflare on their website?
Yeah, so just go on cloudflare.com and you put it.
It's free?
So part of it is free, part no. I mean, for example, we use it, but it's not. So yeah, they have Cloudflare basically to prevent scraping from other people. So I mean, we can bypass it by using some other library instead of requests, which kind of like, okay, we can do that, but like for now we don't really care. So we're just gonna consider that Lucy Paris is not a Shopify.
The Google agent.
Yeah, so we don't need to do that. So like, okay, so if the response is not okay, if it's giving us a 403, which is like, okay, it's false, it's not Shopify. So but in a real world script, we would have like more advanced kind of things, right? Like, okay, it's 403, but maybe retry it again, maybe like try to do like different things. So
it's not okay, return false. That's all we're doing, we're just quitting it.
Yeah, just like, okay, fine, you know, response is not good, so it's fine.
Return false.
Yeah, so actually return false, but we still need to save the domain. So, and then else, because we don't want to do the same query again. And then if the response is okay, is when we check if it's Shopify or not. So we have a response, we do the request.
And the else.
Yeah, and then if the response is not okay, we just say like, okay, if this domain is false, and then if it's not, if it's okay, right? If the response is okay, because like it's the reverse of not, so basically this. So else we have this, and then at the end we return. Because we don't like if a domain is not if a domain is like failed, like we couldn't get any information, we still need to save the result, because there's no point in doing the same request twice. So that's basically it. Like there's no point, so that's why we are saving a response as false, just like here, like when we don't find the CDN, and then at the end we return. Yeah. So if response is not okay, save it as false. If response is okay, meaning you're inside the else, you have if CDN is Shopify.com, you check it in the content of the response, and then save it is true or is false. So actually we could even make it a lot shorter than this. I'll let you implement this first, because like I'm gonna make it even simpler than this.
I think I have all that.
You got it?
Yeah.
Right, so instead of this we can also do like domains of domain equals this, and then remove all the rest. And the reason is we can do this is because this thing is evaluated first, right? So it checks CDN Shopify.com inside the response content, and this thing that I highlighted either returns true or it returns false, and that's exactly what we need, right? That's exactly what we want to put inside this variable, like domain thing, right? Correct?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot shorter.
It's a lot shorter, yeah, because like we could say CDN inside the str, and that the string in something returns either true or false, right? So instead of like doing if and else and doing the equals, we just say domain equals CDN Shopify in blah blah. So we evaluate the thing on the right side, and then we put it on the left side. Make sense?
So you don't have to put the whole domains equals true, domains equal false.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's much shorter. So cool. This works. Seems to.
I think I'm.
There's some error. Yeah. So look, there's an error. It says error, connection aborted. That's weird. Okay. So I guess one of the domains doesn't work at all. Like it's maybe a dead domain. I don't know. Let's print before checking. So say print processing. Remember processing thing we did? Domain. And then execute this again and see where it stops. Basically see where this thing is not working anymore. See, I got an error. And it seems it's felinausa.com. Okay, felinausa.com doesn't work. Let's check it in this browser. That's strange. Why it didn't work? felinausa.com processing. Yeah, so it did a failed handshake for some reason. Yeah, so I mean we could debug like all of these things, but instead we'll just do like try. We'll try, and then we'll do except, and then we'll do this. I'm gonna explain real soon what I'm doing exactly. Response raise for status. So I rewrote the code that we had before, and the reason is because we have a bunch of errors, right? Like we have some SSL handshakes, we have some blah blah, I don't know, like 403, we have bizarre codes. Maybe we'll have a timeout error, you know, like maybe like a website is super slow and it takes forever to load it. So we don't want to block our script for that, right? So we want to put some timeout there. And what I did here is like you have response, you have request.get, and then you get the result. And if the result is actually is not a good status, for example, it has 403, like it's an error, right? Like if it's an error, when you do response raise for status, actually raises what is called an exception. An exception is a way to tell the program that an error happened and it should stop the execution and bubble it up, right? So it's basically like put it like on top of the program. And this try statement and except catches that exception. It catches an exception, right? So like I'm trying to do a request. If I'm failing, I'm throwing an exception, which is here, and then I'm catching it here. I'm catching it in the except statement. You see here? Basically like try to get the data. If you fail to get it, then it's false. Like I don't care what's going on. If it's a 403, if it's a timeout error, if it's a connection error, if the website doesn't exist, like it doesn't matter what happens. In case of failure, mark the domain as false. Right? Make sense? Yeah. But if there's no failure, if everything worked as expected, fine. Check if the CDN is inside the response content and save the result in the domain's dictionary. Right? Let's see if this works. And we try it again. And now we should not have any sort of error. I hope we do have some false values though. So
I have an invalid.
Okay. So yeah, this echo thing seems to be false. Echo.com.
That's a huge website.
Yeah, I think it's a French website, no? It's a French. Is this Shopify? It's not Shopify. Okay, that's cool. So we have a false. Positive. Okay, that's good. Right. So like this function. Let's recap again. Like we have the is Shopify function, which takes a domain, and then it checks if it didn't see that domain before. Like it checks first. Like the first thing it does, like, did I see this before? Yes, no. It returns true or false, right? If it exists inside the dictionary. Then we're trying to fetch some data from a website, and if it works, amazing. We can check if it's Shopify or not Shopify by checking the string cdn.shopify inside the content of the website. If we fail to fetch, if there's no way we can fetch, then we just say, okay, it's false. I mean, we don't really try anything else. We don't do any sort of retries. Normally in a production, like kind of application, like in a real world application, you would have all sorts of logic behind it, like retry 5 times, then do this and that, like have all this complicated logic to get more data, like avoid Cloudflare, like do all of that stuff, right? And but instead here, like to simplify these things, so we just like saving it as false. We're just giving up basically, like okay, it's false, fine, and we're saving it to the domain list, to the domain dictionary, and then we return the value at the end. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we're setting it, and then we
screwed up on my script though. Everything's showing false.
Everything's showing false. Well, that's I mean something is showing. That's good.
Like 8-story falls.
Let's go back to so leave domains, return domain, wait for status. How are you doing here?
Fine.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It should work. I don't know.
I think it's all
We
showing
get
false if I rerun it.
some email from the CSV with 12
Wait,
them and
yeah, it seems that
then
everything
in
is
order
full.
to get the domain name and check it.
Control
It's,
control
factor or not.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you writing code before? Is that the first time?
Control.
On Python, yes.
What did you do before?
JavaScript.
JavaScript. Okay. Nice.
Oh, there's some.
Madam will help. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Nice hoodie. Looks
Thank
good on you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm out. See you.
Alright, I'll see you tomorrow.
Nice stuff.
Yeah, so I just killed the thing.
What?
Yeah, I did Control Z, basically removing it from, like putting it into the background. Okay, fine. So it died on its own.
Is everything showing false? Looks like it.
No, there is some true. There is some true.
There's just a lot of falses, I guess. Are you showing that many falses too?
It's weird. I don't know why it does this.
So there are cars leaving in a few minutes.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, you're sticking around?
I think so, yeah. Till we finish up.
Yeah. So we have. No, it all seems fine. I don't really know why it doesn't. Okay, I mean it's we can debug it later, but let's work on the. Let's work on saving this. Finally, saving all of this, right? Like we want to save it at some point. So we have this. It's Shopify. We have a domain. We have everything. Now. Actually, we wanna have like a new list of rows. Like we wanna save it into another. So we have rows equals just an empty list, and then we have rows. Wait, row of is Shopify. Can I do it? No, it doesn't. Statement is Shopify. Equals, so I'm basically in my existing rows, I'm copying the result in my existing row, and then I'm printing the row. Let's print the row. Let's see what's inside of it. Let's see. So remember when we had that dict. And then we have the email, we have first name, last name, and is Shopify false, is Shopify true. So basically, like I kind of have the initial CSV rows, and then I added a new column, which is called is Shopify. Awesome. Let's save that inside the rows. So I'm appending this to every row in the rows list here. So I have a rows list. Then once I'm done, I'm opening the same file, magic, blah, blah. Well, actually, let's save it into another one just so we don't mess up. And then it's going to be results, right? Magic emails results. But this time we're gonna open it as a write file. CSV file, and then say writer equals CSV dict writer of CSV file, and then because we don't know, we're gonna go back to our documentation. And so it's like, okay, dict writer f field names. Okay, so it actually requires like, okay, field names. We need the field names. Fine, let's get the field names. The field names is gonna be the first row, and we're gonna get the keys of the first row. One sec, I'm gonna explain why. And it's going to be a list. So a list from the keys, and then the field names is going to be here. field names. Field names. So the dict writer requires a file opened as in a write mode. Basically, we're telling the operating system, open this file, but I'm intending to write in it, right? Like that's because like by default it doesn't allow you to write. It's read only because so you don't mess up accidentally. So you have to specify it with W, meaning write, and then you say it like it's the same as before, like it's open as CSV file, and then you have the field names, and I'm taking the first row of the list, and I'm taking the keys, which is basically these keys, right, at the top. So I'm taking, I'm just taking the first email, first name, last name, and then for us it's going to be also Shopify. Is Shopify true or false, right? So I'm taking the keys and I'm transforming these keys into a list, and then I'm passing it to the dict writer. So it's kind of basically what I'm doing it here, except I'm doing it explicitly, right? So like I'm taking this thing, and then I'm doing field names equals this field names, and then I'm writing the header, write header. So what it does is basically it's going to write the first row here. It's going to write the first. When I do a write header, it's going to write the first row, and then writer is going to write row, and then write rows. And then that's it. That should work. Let's check it out. Let's see if it actually is gonna do its thing. It's gonna run it. Now it's fetching everything. It's doing the processing. And in the end, it should write something on disk, hopefully. Alright, it's still doing some stuff. Maybe some website is slow. Okay, so it's not over. For some reason it's like doing some stuff which is weird. So what we're gonna do here, to not wait as much, we're gonna add the timeout. And we're gonna say like 5 seconds tops, so it doesn't wait too long. Yeah. We got stuck for you again?
No, mine didn't.
No,
I was
okay.
just saying
Yeah.
I didn't finish the
We'll do that again. Just I want to see if it actually works. Then I'll explain. So now it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it needs to go next. Yes, good. So it timed out. Some website is probably extremely slow, so it just waits there for no reason. And then 5 seconds. We give 5 seconds basically. If in 5 seconds you don't respond, sorry, not Shopify. You're something else. So yeah, there's actually quite a lot of. You can see that, like for example, for some domains, it's like super fast, like 4 of them, like at the same time. It means that we had them before. We actually fetched them before. So like as the list progressed, like echo thing. You saw the echo thing? Yeah, like that one is going fast now because like we already saw it a couple of times. All right. We're approaching, Gmail, yeah, so Gmail, fast, echo.com. Okay, it's done. So it's finished, and it wrote another file. And voila, we have the new is Shopify. We have false, have a couple of truths. Okay. So we have our Shopify list with true and falses. So let's get back to the dict writer just to kind of recap. So what we did is we opened a new file, which is the magic emails results.csv in a write mode, right? So it's like we want to write there. we took the first row of our rows, which we got from the processing part, right? Like this is the processing part, we are processing, and this is where we write. So we got the first row, which is like index 0. We took the keys, which is, the keys are these here, right? So like email, first name, last name is Shopify. We took the keys, and we told the dict writer, look, write in this file, these are the field names that you need to write. So match the dictionary, the values, all of that stuff with these field names, which is the first row. And then we're writing the header, which is basically this part. If you don't write the header, it's just gonna be this, look. If you don't, it's just gonna be this. So if you write the header, it's gonna have also the header at the top, right? So you have right header, and then you have right rows, which basically just takes a list of rows and just writes everything in the CSV file and matches everything correctly together. Make sense?
Okay.
And remove this to make it cleaner. I'm gonna remove this as well. Right, so let's recap again like what we did. We declared a couple of, like we here, like let's say our script starts here, because like we in order to use a function you need to declare it first, right? So that's why it's first. Well, actually it's actually executing here. So what we did, we have a list, CSV file. We opened it with open. We used a CSV library from Python to read it. We have a reader and we iterate for each row, and then we take the name, we take the domain. We are only interested in the domain in this case. We take the row, which is the email, this part. We split it up. So for example, Sasha at lucyparis.com. We split Sasha and lucyparis.com. We take the domain, right, and then we are processing it. And then we created the function, which is like is Shopify domain. And then this function, what it does, it checks if a domain contains Shopify or not. And the way it does this, and it runs fast, because we can actually save the results of previously checked Shopify stores, websites, and save it into a dictionary. The dictionary is basically kind of like a cache type of thing, right? So we're saving it into the cache, and if it's already in the cache, we just take the value from the cache. If it's not in the cache, then we do the expensive operation, which is to request something from a website. And then we encountered a bunch of errors, like we saw a real world, scenario where there's like timeouts, there's like a bunch of SSL certificates which are invalid, all of that stuff. And we did this. So it's like, as I said before, we had a cache. We check if the domain is inside the cache. If it's not inside the cache, then we're doing the expensive operation. And here we're trying to fetch something from a website. If it's not okay, then we just raise, and then we catch it here, right? Like we raise, and then in the except statement we catch it, and we say like, look, I mean, if there is any sort of error, we just give up and we say like, yeah, no, this Shopify doesn't have anything. So like this website doesn't have Shopify, so we'll just skip it. And if it does have a correct response, we still need to check that it contains the cdn.shopify.com, which is a good marker to know if a website is Shopify. And once we have all this, basically this function here just returns true or false, right? So like all of this complexity. But when you look at it, when you read this code, when you just like look at this, all you have to look is at this. You don't really care about like what's going on in Shopify. All you care about is that function returns true or false. Like that's the beauty of a function, because it takes this complexity out of your brain and just puts it into something else, and you just kind of use it. That's like, you're just like, okay, just put everything there, I'm just gonna use it, and I don't care what's going on inside of it. And also, like when you are thinking about this function, you don't think about CSV, you don't think about like do I need to write it on this? Do I need to I just think about like I have a domain and I want to check if that domain has a Shopify store or not. That's it. Like that's the only thing I care about. Like this is a way kind of like functions are not for computers. Functions are for humans. Like that's one important thing to understand about functions. Yeah. I mean, I could technically just copy this part and just paste it here, right? And it's gonna work the same way. But I don't want to have like a crazy spaghetti thing. I just want to split it up into comprehensible chunks of code which are separated by some sort of kind of like one concern. You want to have a single concern in a function, a single concern. The single concern for us was to get to know if a domain is a Shopify store or not. That's it.
And if we launch the function, the script again, it's gonna erase.
It'll overwrite the.
It'll overwrite the previous file. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and so like that's the thing. So we did like we have a rows in the when we read it we have a rows, like we have 4 rows in reader and we have a row, and when we improve that row with a new key, which is Shopify, right? So previously we didn't have this Shopify, and now we have it. Where did we add it? We added here. We had said row is Shopify equals is Shopify domain, and then rows, and then we appended it. So it's like this is a list of empty rows. There's no rows inside, right? And then I'm saying check if my row has Shopify and save the result in a is Shopify column, and then append it to this list. So just like I have the rows list here, and then I append the row which is like coming from the one I'm reading, and just like set it as a like you see here, like I have row is Shopify. So basically I'm assigning like here before I had a row email, row first name, and so on, and I added another one which is Shopify, and I save it is true or not, save it in a list of rows, and then afterwards I'm saving. So I'm saving the results of these rows into another file which contains the results. I'm taking the field names, which is the first row basically, and the keys of the first row, and I'm using what is called a dict writer. And I'm declaring the fields. I'm writing the header, which is this part here, the header, and then in the end I'm writing all of the rows that I populated here. So all of the rows that I populated in here. So like rows.append basically adds every like for each row that is improved, kind of enhanced, right, with Shopify. Is Shopify true or false? I'm appending it to a list. And then with that list, I'm writing it into a new file. And this is the result where we have like is Shopify true, false, and so forth.
I'm just getting I think I'm getting one small error on my index error. List index error.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the recording now because like I'm gonna save this for so yeah, I'm gonna send the recording plus the Python script in our conversation chat.